What's up, guys? Oh boy, I knocked my microphone down. What's up, guys? It's Rick Ginn, and today we're talking about cracking the code for the real estate riches in wholesaling. And this live stream is going to be a little bit different than we normally do because I want to break it down because I think some of you are missing the point and understanding of why you started wholesaling and what your end goal is. Because a lot of times people have no idea what their end goal is and like how long do I have to keep talking to these sellers? How many cold calls do I have to make? And I believe I'm qualified to pass this information down. I've been doing this for 23 years. And I still remember like I started wholesaling yesterday because it scared the crap out of me. And honestly, it's probably one of the best decisions ever than getting married and having my kids. So that being said, there's a couple ways you can connect with me. Number one, use the comment. I don't know if I get, I don't know, this side. And if you have a question, put it in there. That's the best way to get your question answered. I try to get through as many as I possibly can. And then towards midstream and the live stream, I'll put up a link on there. And if we want to do one-on-one, if I can help you guys out with a wholesaling deal, if you want to talk wholesaling, if you need someone to help you walk you through how to get started, or maybe you're a seasoned pro and you just need a little Rick wisdom, we can provide it either way for you. So it's 2025. I've never been happier to be in wholesaling. As much as people will tell you wholesaling's on the attack, I'm here to tell you, man, that wholesaling is awesome. The amount of deals we're doing, the amount of deals I see everybody else doing on this live stream is absolutely amazing. And please don't let everyone kind of discourage you about like wholesaling as they're cracking down. You got to use your brain. You can't deceive people. You can't commit fraud. The law's already on the book. You just need to go out and you need to help sellers that need to sell their house. That is the key. They have to be able to sell their houses, meaning they have to have a situation. Everybody wants to sell. Only a few need to sell. And that's why we have to specialize in marketing and wholesaling. So that being said, today we are talking all about this word rich. And when I think back, all I do is I'd like to do a little experiment is, guys, tell me what like your definition of rich is. Don't look it up because I need it from the heart. Like, what does it mean to be rich? And I know as a kid, I gotta be a dude. I'm a kid of the 80s, actually 70s. Let's be brutally honest. And there was a cartoon back then called Richie Rich. It's actually quite iconic now in the art world. But I remember watching Richie Rich, and I remember telling my parents, I'm like, look at that. Like, look, there's money. Like, there was a graphic where a cartoon where Richie Rich would be driving down the road. And sometimes he'd have his dad in his car and like they had bags of money and there was so much money, it was blowing out the back seat of the car. And people are just chasing down to chase the money. Everything was over the top extreme. And I remember thinking, I go, how? And I remember asking my parents this question, how do you become that rich? And I'll never forget their answer. It was, that's evil. That kind of money is just really bad and bad things will happen to you. And you don't want that wished upon anybody. And I kind of accepted that. And I heard my entire life from family and friends that money was the root of all evils. And so I've had this utter conflict for a good portion of my younger life. Like, if you're rich, you're bad. And it is the farthest thing from the truth. Now, here's my definition of rich. It makes you more of the person who you truly are. And the reality is if you're rich and you're a jerk and you're mean to people, you just amplify it with money. You got more power to do it. And if you look on the other hand, if you're a super nice person and you're always trying to do the right thing and help people out, then you become a stronger and better person. And that's the truth of it. It does, like, money is not going to change the person you become. Will it give you some more tools? Absolutely. You can get therapy. You can work on yourself. You can work on your spiritual. But what I'm driving at too is we look at like the difference. There's been some real evil people in the news lately. I won't even go down to the guy that had his own island and super rich, or even though our boy P. Diddy, who got basically exonerated most of the charges, is all it does is amplify who you are. And a lot of you, so I'm going to get specifically in wholesaling because you need to understand this. And you have a choice to make when you start out wholesaling by becoming rich. And my perfect definition of someone who's rich, you ready for this? It's not, oh God, I could say so much about Congress people. They get so wildly rich on $170,000 a year. It's I took the wrong. Actually, the only thing better than wholesaling is being a congressman or woman. Just saying. So, but the reality is, if I had to pick my ideal, like rich person, when I was a child, I thought the Richie Rich was like just all I thought about. Honestly, I obsessed till I was about 17, 18. And when I found Tony Robbins, he made me believe that there was a path to success, because everybody around me told me it's never going to happen. It's not going to work. You bring money into it, it screws up everything. The only thing money screws up is people who don't understand or not open to how to work with money. And for the longest time, I didn't understand the relationship. So I'm going to walk you through a little journey of how wholesalers start out, how they work, and what you're ultimately striving for. Now, if you need more information on how to get started in wholesaling, go over to freewholesaling.com. Me and my son offer an entire free course on how to get started, how to get established, how to do the marketing, how to write the contracts. We re-recorded, redid every video just recently, less than, I think 6 weeks ago, and it's all 2025 up to standards. That's right. There's no price tag on it. Why? Because we want to do deals with you. We want you guys to win, because everybody else seems to charge for this. And why not just give you guys the information? You're in 2025. It's not that hard to get. The question is, what are you going to do with it? So the biggest thing is, so I'm looking at some of the definitions on here, and we're going to like dive into this. And I want you to open your mind, because what you associate the word rich with is usually how you were brought up with your parents and how you defined rich. And my rich was Richie Rich. I just could not fathom like how they did this. Now, it was a cartoon. I know they made a movie about it. Didn't do it any justice, in my opinion. But it opened my mind up, like, can you live like that? And I was told it's impossible. You have to steal. You have to rob from the poor. It's evil. And none of that stuff was true. But it burned into my subconscious mind, because the people around me told me that's just how it is. Normal people are realistic, and they just want to get enough money to like feed their family. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking. I did that for a long time, but I'm just telling you, I believe God put me on the planet to put Richie Rich in front of me, and then eventually have a Tony Robbins intervention to go, you were put on this planet to do so much more. And I found wholesaling, and it was like the perfect match. It was not easy. But the reality is, I got into wholesaling really with one goal in mind. And those of you guys have heard my story. So I'm looking at this. I mean, your comments are absolutely wonderful. Like, I'm not even going to like put them up there. You guys can read them in there. They're really good. So like, if you truly write down what is your definition of rich, it will help you get what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, and you're basing it on your childhood, how you were raised. Listen, we didn't choose our parents. Thank God they had us all. We didn't choose our friends and our neighbors. Your parents chose where you live and everything. So I love the bond that we have with our childhood friends we grew up with, but they were not our choice. Your siblings aren't even your choice. Everything you do from an adult on is your choice, and it is your responsibility. And you got to get a lot of this stuff out of your brain, because God knows it was burnt in mine, and we have to do it. So I'm reading all your comments. Rich. So let's run through it. I'm going to do a little bit different today. I'm going to try to bring in the iPad with some technology. So just hold on. But I think some of you guys get the message of, hold on, I forgot one up here. Let's slide that up there. So the first thing we have to understand is you got to define what your definition of rich. And you just have to have an honest scan, go, what is being rich? Now, the reality, most of you just assume it's about making a ton of money. And don't get me wrong, it is part of the equation. But do you know the word rich long derived for people traded monetary experiences or anything like that? And here's what I'm going to teach you today. Rich, the hell does that mean? And so most of you are just putting it to money. And we're going to talk about that. And don't get me wrong, it's not the wrong attitude, but it's temporary. It is a kind of a quick fix because you have to understand your goal is not to be rich. You start out rich in wholesaling. Everybody has to do it. Your goal is actually to be wealthy. And if you don't understand the difference between rich and wealthy, you're going to be stuck on the rich side for a very long time. In fact, it was one of my biggest problems starting out as a wholesaler. Now, in the beginning, it's not that big of a deal because you're just trying to figure out the art of wholesaling, how to find deeply discounted properties and sell them quickly to cash buyers. I get it, but at some point you have to graduate past that. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in that perpetual loop for God only knows how long. Now, I got stuck in that loop for 7 years, maybe 8. Why? Because I did not understand the difference between rich and wealthy. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what is it to be rich? Truly, what is it to be rich? Now, my first answer, and I did this the right way, is I was in a career where I just felt like I wasn't valued. I worked an incredible amount of hours a week, 50, 60, 75, 80 sometimes, 6 days a week. I was on call. In fact, you can basically say they owned me. You want to talk about punching a clock? I would have done anything to punch a clock. It's more like punch my boss in the mouth. I liked being challenged. I liked the competitive part that I did in running a business. But honestly, I was making the company millions and millions of dollars. And I basically had to beg every year to make more money. And if you know exactly how I feel, some of you guys are in that exact position. I let that build up for 12 years. And I finally pulled the ripcord to do wholesaling. I spent way too long. I should have probably done it 11 or 12 years before, but whatever. It doesn't matter. We all have our own journey and you have to understand that. So if we did that, the one thing that I valued the most and why I went into wholesaling, you ready for this? It was absolute freedom. Why? I could not stand who I worked for. Like you have no idea. You ever had that boss from hell? My boss on so many times, I remember his last day at work, finally the GM for the company came in and met with me privately and wanted to know if all these items were true. And I remember just looking him in the eye. I'm like, who's asking? So I'm a big boy. I keep my mouth shut because I needed that job. I had bills to pay. And I was under the corporate, like just torture structure. Like I could not afford to lose my job. And my boss reminded me every day that if I mess up, they're going to replace my butt. And so I learned to keep my mouth shut. It was almost like extortion. There were such bad things that happened in my company. I just keep my mouth shut. I saw everything. I was there a long time. And then when they come up to me, I remember the GM going to me, why would you put up with all this? I go, me? You're the one running the company. You set up this structure. There is no outlet for a guy like me to say a word because if I open my mouth, I get fired. And that's the point he let me go. We fired him. He's under investigation for this, and this, and we're going to need you to testify. I go, and a month later, I just quit. I was already doing wholesaling. I was already starting to have success. And the writing was on the wall. I just felt like God came down and finally somebody listened to me, man. But I put up with this guy's wrath for a long time. And I got to tell you, man, this thing, freedom right here, tastes so dang good. And that was my biggest, that was my definition of becoming rich when I first started out wholesaling. I just wanted freedom. Zach was 3 years old. My daughter was just born. And if you've ever been a parent, you understand, like, my entire life, my father worked. I never saw him, like, just worked. And I want you to understand that all kids ever want from you, they never want your money. Trust me, they want you to buy them plenty of stuff. They want your time. And the greatest gift you can give the children, or you can give to a niece, a nephew, a grandma, your mother, a grandfather, is your time. You guys don't think it? Go talk to someone in the latter part of years of their life. Time is the greatest asset they ever have. It's not money, it's time. And so if you understand that, I had to learn the hard way. So I'm hoping I can just shift anybody from understanding that you don't have to learn the hard way, because God knows having the freedom. Now, if you just say, I'm doing wholesaling to become rich, you can get by, but you're not going to thrive in the long run because you haven't clearly defined to the universe exactly what you want. So you're going to have to run through it. And what I want to do is run through a couple choices that we can make. I think it'll be easier if I do an iPad, if I can do that, guys. And let me see if I can get this going. Okay. So let's talk about this. I think microphone's in the way. We talk about rich, and we talk about being wealthy. And what I want to do is show you where your stages in wholesaling. Now, guys, listen, like, this is just a higher level thinking, so you understand your progressions, where you're going. Because I know I got a lot of people watching the stream that started 6 months, a year ago, and you're like, how long do I have to do this for? Like, I remember I got burnt out wholesaling multiple times. Because I was trying to do everything myself, and I didn't understand at the time. So if we talk about rich, the first thing we're going to talk about is money. And this is where most people are in wholesaling. Let's just say you're in the rich category. Now, don't get me wrong. Just saying out loud, I want money, is fine. But it is temporary, because that money has to churn into something. And it has to be what you truly want in life. It can't be about what everybody else wants. The bank wants you to make money. Your landlord wants you to make money. Everybody wants you to make money so they can just pay their bills. See, everybody's got a what's in it for me. But the question is, what are you ultimately going to turn that money into? Because that's the biggest challenge we have to understand when we do this. Now, here's the challenge with being rich. So we'll do like a color. Let's do this. We'll split it down here. You're going to make a ton of money wholesaling. That's never the question, as long as you apply exactly what we teach you. But the real question is, when you do it, is you basically have to be active. Now, I never hide this from you. Wholesaling is a job. It is not like this passive income career where you just sit back and money rolls in. You actually have to work. And the problem is, let me know in the comments, what happens when you stop working in wholesaling? What happens if you want to take 3 weeks off? Oh God, it's the greatest feeling in the world. I'm just going to tell you right now, because it's like, my God, I'm not cold calling today. I'm not dealing with appointment. I'm not dealing with follow-ups, the title companies, all the crap I have to do with. And you just like, you let the air out. It's unbelievable. But the problem is, after a week or two, you start to get this anxiety, like, crap, I got to turn this thing back on. And I just shut off the machine for 2 or 3 weeks. I constantly went through this cycle in wholesaling being rich. And what you have to understand about this is, you got to have vision where you're going to see this, because you're all going to hit a wall when you do this. In the beginning, I always tell you what's the first path? Get 5 deals. Any means possible, government list. We teach you all at freewholesaling.com, right? That's what we want you to do. And you get the 5, then we're going to teach you how to scale, right? But you got to survive, because most people don't get past their first 1 to 3 deals. It's a fact. Statistically, you get the 5, you do amazing things in wholesaling if you apply yourself. So the first thing is basically going to be money. And that makes you what? That is going to make you a high income earner. Bingo. You just make a bunch of money. So say you make 100 grand, 150, 200 grand. I worked my way all the way up to around $400,000 or $500,000 as a high income earner wholesaler. And I'm not knocking it. Trust me. It took me a while to get there, and you'll get there too. But at the time I didn't understand. I was just rich. But there's a particular problem with being rich. It's active. And if you stop working, the business stops. And if you have an accident or God forbid something happens to you and you can't do wholesaling, like there's no protection for you and your family. And I'm just being brutally honest. You've got to prepare for the worst in life because we've all been around seeing the craziest things happen. We don't know when our time's going to be up, and we have to understand that. So we have to understand the risk of income loss. It's real, guys. It happens all the time. Now, here's the really cool part. Wholesaling, even if you lost use of your legs, even if like you had some sort of disability, as long as you have your brain, you can still do this business. That's great, but that's not enough for most of us. Let's face it, we want to make sure we can take our family taken care of. Now, I ran a 7-year risk with my kids and my wife. If I could not wholesale houses, it would have been problematic. Because here's the one big one you have to understand. I'm going to put it in red. Here's what rich people do. You ready? They buy or reward themselves with what? Liabilities. What do you mean, Rick? They buy expensive cars because they're rich. They buy boats. God, I love boats. They buy personal houses way above their means. And this right here, guys, the number one thing that takes most wholesalers out. Because in your mind, you're like, Rich, I got all this money. I can buy whatever I want. Ha. I was this guy. You hear me? I was this guy. And you have to resist the itch to buy liabilities. What's a liability? Real simple. Anything that you buy that goes down in value and you have to constantly keep paying money out is a liability. I'm here to tell you, I'm all on the Grant Cardone train that your personal house is a liability. It is not an asset. And if anybody wants to like debate me on it, I can do it all day. You know why? Because I've owned 10 personal houses, actually 11 personal houses. And people go, oh, wow, you bought it for 150 and sold it for 300. Yeah. You didn't see the renovations we had to do. You know how many trips I went to Home Depot? I had the property tax up. I had the insurance up. I add the interest expense. Yeah, I know it's deductible. The reality is, at best, usually break even. But we sit there and we lie to ourselves. Oh my God, I bought it for this. What about all those trips to Home Goods your wife to? What about all those expensive parties you guys threw? If you truly kept accounting, you're going to make a modest gain at best. And then you're going to sacrifice your ability to be able to move wherever you want in the United States. Now, don't get me wrong. Owning a house, it's my personal preference because I like to have control. But the reality is when people go, my house is my biggest investment, you're an idiot. That's terrible. You'd be better off finding a rental property, although it's challenging if you're in like South Florida, California, and stuff like that, and taking the difference and investing the money. Because the reality, at best, a house appreciation without this crazy run we've recently had is 2 to 3% at best. Now, let me ask you, what do you think you're going to earn in the stock market or the private equity markets or anything like that? Dude, I can get 10 times that return. And I'm here to tell you, I get the liquidity you can do in like a stock. I don't have to talk to anybody, I just click a button. I can just tap on my phone or watch and sell anything I want. Selling a piece of real estate takes tremendous amount of work. Once again, it is an active part of investing. So By the way, I did enjoy the Rich Dad Poor Dad, but the whole book's fabricated. Just so you know, it's just a story. It's actually a great storytelling. My problem with Kiyosaki is all he does is sell coins now. Like the whole Rich Dad's just such a they turn and burn real estate coaches like there's no tomorrow. You don't believe me? Look at all the people that go through it, and if they don't make enough money, they fire them, and they go back to wholesaling, and it's cute. But Robert Kiyosaki is nothing more than an active marketer. He has nothing to do with real estate. Actually, I believe he stopped in the 80s, definitely the 90s. He just had a good story, and I don't know if he wrote it or not, but we're getting off topic here. So, anyways, what I'm trying to say is, if you take all this money and make it in wholesaling, and you do nothing but buy assets, you're going to get destroyed. And if you don't, I'm sorry, liabilities. And a liability is like a boat. I pay 100 grand for the boat. I make payments every month, or maybe even pay cash, and then you sell it for 50 grand. Same thing with the cars. So when you see all these young kids are flashing cars and stuff like that, they don't get this part. And thank God I got this somewhat early. I was never a flashy car guy because I worked in the car business, so I thought cars were really annoying. But we all like a cool, slick car. But the reality is, it's never going to pay a bill for you. So a liability is whenever you take money out of your pocket and you give it to somebody else. And you have to they give you something and you have to pay them every month. So you have to switch that over, and you have to understand. Now, I'm going to make a series of statements on this one. Most rich people have very little time because they're so busy working. That was me. There's not a problem. There's seasons for hustle that we figure out to do. And I'm just going to say this nicely. Don't get upset when I say this, but it's the truth. I find most people in this category get a bit selfish. It's always about me. How can this benefit me? How can I make more money? How can I have more control? Which leads, they're very controlling. I'm literally spelling you out how I did wholesaling my first 7 years. And they have no idea how to leave a legacy. How do I do this? This is such a how many of you guys think wholesaling is like crap? I'm just trying to figure this. How am I going to pass this down to my kids? I honestly walked through this exact conversation in my head about how I was going to get Zach involved in my business. And the funny thing is, the best lesson I ever learned in teaching your kids a skill set about money is stop telling them how to do it and show them how to do it, meaning lead the way. You need to go to this college. You need to do this for a living. You need to be a doctor. It's ridiculous. You stifle your children by doing that. Find out what excites them. That's the first thing. And then give them options. But when you people try to peg your kids in a career, I never, ever thought Zach would do wholesaling. But by me spending time with him, which I got freedom of time, which is my ultimate goal in wholesaling, I was able to spend so much time with him. I took him on appointments. I showed him houses, and I did it over and over. And I chose Zach, listen, I'm going to work an hour and a half, and then we'll spend the next 5 hours together. And then we went through high school when we were traveling with wrestling tournaments and stuff. I got to spend time that I never got from my father. And it filled a void in my life. Call it what you want, but it's the absolute truth. So the idea is, all my father ever did was tell me what to do. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to go to church on this day. You have to do this. You have to get a good job. You have to go to college. You have to get good grades. Okay, I did it all. It didn't work. And after a while, I just figured, I go, man, you're not really leading me. You're just telling me. And I'm telling you, this is the secret, what you want to do. Now, let's switch over and do the wealthy side, which is my favorite side. Now, don't get me wrong. You have to become rich before you become wealthy. So here's the good news is, every one of you, you're in the right mindset to become rich. You just have to define what is rich in your head. it's not just money. Now, I don't want to get all biblical on you, but go back and look at some of the early findings of what some of our great philosophers, some of our great teachers, even Christ, all this other stuff say. They don't have a problem with the rich. Their problem is, what does the rich amplify in your personality? And that's a life journey. You want to know my perfect rich person? The person who became rich that is ultimately wealthy? Keanu Reeves. Because the guy just, like, money does not define him. He doesn't care. Now, don't get me wrong. The man spends, I think, $20,000 to $25,000 a day just on personal security. You got to be wildly, wildly wealthy and rich to do that. So he started out being rich by being doing movies, but he eventually gravitated over to wealth. So if we understand rich, if the pure definition of rich is to be plentiful and abundant, it's very important you understand. It doesn't say all the money in the world. Plentiful and abundant means, do I get more time? Do I get more freedom? What else can I do? Now, I'm also going to tell you, here's the other biggest problem I have on the rich side. Most rich people, and I'm not saying this to hurt anyone's feeling, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not giving you an Andy Elliott moment here. I'll give you a David Goggins moment. Most rich people neglect their health. They always figure they'll figure it out later. Now, I really love rich, wealthy people, but I don't understand if someone's physically in bad shape, meaning by the choice of their own. Call it overweight, whatever you want, but truly, the greatest measure of your rich and wealth is going to be your health, because it is your vehicle to get around in life. And if you're constantly in pain, torturing, you're not a pleasant person to be around. I get it. But the problem is, rich people make a sacrifice to get rich, but you're eventually going to have to fix your health. You don't believe me? Listen, there's a guy in South Florida that I've known for a long time. He's a great guy. Ben Mala, super wealthy in real estate, but he's in terrible physical shape. And I'm thinking, and then, the problem is you lead your kids down that path. And if you're only going to live so many years because you don't eat right, you don't exercise, you smoke and do whatever you want, like, what's the point? If you want to become wildly wealthy, you have to live as long as you possibly can. Because if you don't make it past your 50s and 60s, what's the point? Because all that hard work, and to enjoy it for what? Oh, by the way, rich people, they do think about retiring. They think about it. Trust me. But the problem is they can't retire, because if they retire, the money stops building up. And you have to understand that. So I love Ben Mala. You want the guy to be around a long time. One of the funniest men out there. But the amount of cigarettes and stuff that I just don't like, I don't get. He's so smart. Like, you got to know that you have to take great care of yourself. And I'm not disrespecting him. I think he's an amazing businessman, but there's got to be some balance, because if you don't have your health, guys, imagine if you could live to be 90, and say you started out wholesaling at like 33, oh my God, like, it would be explosive. What you could leave with your kids and everything else is like amazing. And here's the thing is, your family needs guidance. They need you. There's no replacement for you when you're gone. Money's not going to replace you. So the idea is, we have to live if you're going to look at rich and wealthy, you have to look at how long you can expand that time frame. And that comes down to your health. So I'm not going to get in the whole health thing. I let mine go when I was rich. I got about 60 pounds overweight. I just really didn't watch what I eat. And I'm the complete opposite now. So there is a season, and you have to understand that. Now, when we come over to wealthy, I want you to understand this. It's much more of a passive design for income. So when we do wholesaling, it's active. Now, here's the really cool part. If you want to go from rich to wealthy in wholesaling, what's the number one thing that you have to do? Put it in the comments, because this is the part. If you can make this transgression, you have a path to do whatever you want in wholesaling. Dude, 90's fine. I want to live like, I want to be on the Smucker's jar, like 120. Why? Because I want to watch my family progress. So Jason understands. So how do you invest when it comes to wholesaling? Just keep some of the properties. In the beginning, do what you got to do. Pay your rent, pay your mortgage, make sure your kids are fed. But in the long run, guys, you're eventually going to have to take a little bit of bite and keep one. This is where creative financing is extremely powerful. Because if you can buy a house with little to no money down, not do all the bank BS, you can make an amazing amount of return and come back in 3 to 5 years. I prefer 5. And you can make $75,000, $80,000. And the amazing thing about, without getting into all the details of how investing in real estate works, is you get incredible tax write-offs. So here's the first thing the wealthy do is they buy assets. What do we do when we're rich? We buy liabilities, because it's your ego dotting the line going, look how rich I am. And so this is why you see all the kids flashing the cars and all that. Honestly, most of the time when people are flashing cars, it's either they're flexing their ego or they're selling a course. It's not hard to figure out. Just click their link, click their Instagram. 9 times out of 10, they got a course to sell you. Just go to freewholesaling.com. I've already sold that for you. So you're either being induced to buy a course. Do you really want to buy a course from someone that doesn't understand the difference between a liability and an asset? I never have a car to show you off. Why? Because it's a sinking money pit like a liability, and I hate it. There's no brag about it. I bought a car and it's losing money. You want me to show you how to do it? Here. Oh, you look good in it? It's look good for the pictures? Awesome. Great. So they buy assets, and assets are what allow you to buy things. Now, in wholesaling, it just might be a single family home. You can turn it into a rental. You could do some wholesales, anything like that. And you either generate the cash and you buy assets. So I love anything real estate. Now, the other thing you get on this is called depreciation. Now, I know I don't get into politics, but I'm here to tell you, the current administration just passed a bill that is extremely generous in how you depreciate an asset. Now, I want you to think about this. When you buy a car, if I spend 50 grand on a car, the thing is, the IRS only lets me depreciate it over the life of the car. So I don't know, between 5 and 10 years. So I'm able to write off basically 10 grand a year of that car. Got it? 10 grand. Now, what if I could show you, and what happens to that car? It goes down in value. Here's the cool thing with real estate. You ready? Say you buy a $500,000, say it's a commercial, actually, say it's a residential property, maybe it's a duplex or something like that. Did you know you have the ability to do an accelerated write-off? It's a little bit more complicated, but you can actually deduct most of it in the first year. I'm not here to give tax advice. You can do all the fixtures, the furnitures. They basically call it bonus depreciation. You can, this is unbelievable because it offsets your income. So remember I said over here, if you make $400,000 of income, what if you can get a write-off for $300,000 in your first year of buying it? And what happens to that property? It goes up in value. You lower your tax liability, which is the next part that I'm going to show you right here, is the wealthy pay little to no taxes. Why? Because they read the rule book. Now, do you think I read the rule book? It's crazy. I had to get money from being rich as a wholesaler to find people to help me read the tax code to get me the biggest deductions I can. And it's not cheap. But let me ask you, you would rather pay somebody 20, 30 grand a year consulting to save you $300,000 to $400,000 in taxes. It's what's called an investment. So I'm constantly buying things to buy back my time and money on the wealth side. Does everybody understand that? It's phenomenal how this works. It keeps going on. What you can do with real estate right now. Now, here's the thing is real estate passive? No, I use property managers because I am the worst property manager you ever met in your life. I take people's word for it and then I snap and I get upset and I don't do that. So I pay everybody else to do it. Now, here's the other thing wealthy people is they have lots of time. It is the opposite of being rich. In fact, you kind of get bored with your time. And let me tell you what bored being with your time does for you and your family. Number one, it allows you to be present. On the rich side, you are not present at all. My father was the exact thing. I'm too busy trying to make money. At some point, you've got to get over that hump. So also, the wealthy always invest in stocks, private equity. I'm not going to get into how all investment works. And then eventually, you can own businesses. And if you run the right business or you buy the right business, the business runs without you. On the other side, on the rich side, you are the business, you run the business, you are the employee of the business, and without you, everything ceases to exist. On this side, when you're done working in the business and you grow it, when you want to do this thing called retire, which you never do on the wealthy side because it's fun, because all this is a game. If you have $1 or 100 billion, it's the same thing. In your businesses, you can sell. And when businesses generate an incredible amount of money and they have stability, there's always a market to sell them. So just like we sell our houses, which how we started on wholesaling, you can sell much bigger assets. You can do it in the commercial class, you can do it in the residential, but you can sell businesses. And when businesses make a lot of money, people write you very, very large checks. And then you take that money. And then maybe you walk away with $3 to $20, $30 million, depending on what level of business you go, and go, wow. Now, your business might just be your portfolio of houses. When I first started wholesaling, I collected 27 houses. Now, some of them weren't great deals, but they were what I called active investing because I managed everything myself. It was challenging. And I never really graduated over to the wealthy side. And then the last thing you got to understand on the wealthy side, every one of these people, for the most part, this is my definition of wealthy. They figure out their health side. And let me let you in a little clue. Start out with doctors and do what you need to do, but eventually you're going to have to find a way to regulate your body and find the right balance. Because if you're going to do it with prescriptions and pharmaceutical, it is nothing more than masking the Band-Aid. And I've dealt with a lot of issues in my life trying to get through this. And the problem is you don't fix it in a month or two. It can take years. But society has created that you think pharmaceuticals will never belong in your body. Now, if you're sick and you need it to stay alive, please do it. I'm not telling you to go off medications. But at some point, you need to cross that bridge. Because the truth of the matter is, the stuff you eat is your medicine. And as soon as we started separating food from medicine is when all hell broke loose in people's health. You go look at pictures of people on the beaches in the 80s and do it today, you would think you're in a social experiment. Now, don't get me wrong. I eat the same crap. You guys eat this processed food, it's going to kill you eventually. I'm just telling you right now. You have to figure out what you're putting in your mouth. And you're talking about the guy with the biggest sweet tooth you've ever done. I've just learned how to curb it. And I've learned to have boundaries in what I do. And I have to be extremely disciplined. Wholesaling taught me discipline. But I'm here to tell you, here's the last thing the wealthy do, right? They leave a legacy. Meaning, hey, when that guy or gal's out here, it was unbelievable what they did. Look what they passed down to their family. Look at the impact they had on their sector of business. and look at the amazing contributions they gave to the world. Now, which is the last part, is charitable. If you look at people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, all these people, I mean, they're giving away hundreds of billions of dollars. And that is what's having a major impact. I'm not here to get in the politics of like who they're giving it to and what they do, but it's unbelievable. And you have to make a decision which side of the equation do you want to be on. Because I know right now exactly where I want to be. And you have to make a conscious decision, because if you don't, by not making this decision, I promise to be made up for you. I spent 7, let's call it 8 years, just sitting on the rich side. And I tell you that because I'm not really proud of it. And I had to go through this incredible growth to figure out how to go from rich to being wealthy. And I'm telling you guys, money gives you options. It gives you major resources. That's the benefit of money. And then you have to learn how to reward money by having it multiply and grow, and growing it where you can do it passively. Now, I see all the time when investors go, you ever see this classic post? You see when we have a bad stock market week, day, or month, and then wholesalers will always post this. It never ceases to amaze me. They go, this is why I don't invest in stocks, because you don't have control. And it's stupid when I can buy all this real estate and control it. They're right on the rich part, they're wrong on the wealth side. Because they're correct. You can buy stocks at a discount and a dip in the market, but you eventually have to stay in the market. I'm not in the day trading. But guys, I can show you time after time the compound interest I've made with stocks. I never had to lift a finger. I never had to call anyone. It did not tax me on how to write the bill, how to do the closing, how to do the HUD, how to deal with the tenants, how to increase the rent, how to do the rehab. There's no mental awareness. And here's the deal is, I started doing it with a couple $100. I did it much later in life, and I'm in a major catch-up phase. Then I went to 10,000, and I went to 100,000, and I don't mind doing it in multiple $250,000, $300,000 sections. The reason is that money's all working for me. And when the market goes down, I just buy more stock. But people tell you, this is stupid, why don't you invest? Listen, you're not going to beat the stock market statistically by buying a piece of real estate and trying to beat it on paper. Can you get deductions? Yes. Can you get leverage? Yes. But give me $1 million in stocks, give me $1 million in real estate, and put them both to bed the same way you do stocks. I guarantee one's going to outperform the other one. Yes, there's advantages to real estate, and I love real estate, but it always requires work. It is a physical asset that requires upkeep, roofs, plumbing, electrical, never stops. Stocks, you're investing in the American corporation, and if you pick the right ones, or even you do a fund, on average, I'm not Nancy Pelosi numbers. I don't do 70%, but I can crush the S&P. And the S&P is what, 12, 13%? If you compound that over 10 years, it's unbelievable what you could do with money. And if you're young, you should be starting out doing this. It's completely passive. I do private equities too, a little bit more complicated. I do crypto. I got paid. One of my real estate consulting deals I partnered up by someone on a property, and they wanted to pay me for their expertise. And they threw me, I'm not going to say how much Bitcoin. I remember at the time, like at the end, that's all they had. So I had to take what I had. I pouted. I was pissed. I was aggravated because at the time, Bitcoin was worth a measly like $500 a coin. I look back now, I'm like, I was such an idiot because I could have got 10 times that amount. They were ready to give me like 20 and 30 Bitcoins for it. And I took what they had and I just moved on. But I forgot about it, put it in a wallet, and I look back now, one of the greatest deals I've ever done. And at the time, I thought it was a major failure. You see, this, as sometimes life teaches you lessons and you churn it, but you have to make sacrifices to become wealthy. And if you can't make sacrifices, it'll never happen. And if you stay in the rich mode the entire time, you will never graduate to the wealthy side. And the wealthy side took me a good, so I always tell you it takes 2 years in wholesaling to make the sacrifice to get free. And I still stick to that. I would give that same 2, maybe 3 to 4 years to really gravitate towards the wealthy side. And here's the crazy part. That part where you guys buy the liabilities to like have fun and I love all that stuff. But if you take that same money and you bought stocks, you bought real estate, you bought all the other different asset classes, maybe you bought some gold, some precious coins. I bought silver a long time ago. My God, it's like it's a rock. It's not like gold. But if I made those sacrifices, here's what the wealthy do. They use that income to pay for their toys. If you have to use your ability to become rich to pay for your toys, you're going to be stuck in a perpetual loop and you're never going to get out of it. And I'm not telling you this to depress you. I'm just telling you, make that sacrifice. Just grin at your, like, I went the longest time without owning a boat. Do you know at one point, here's a really cool fact. Me and my wife shared a car. I got more crap from my friends about that. I didn't care. The car was paid off. I had no car payments between the both of us. And I ran it as long as I could. Now I can buy any car I want. I just don't care. I own more cars than I care to talk about. I don't brag about cars because they were an expense. Anyone who brags about an expensive liability is a moron. And so anyone who does that comparison will like, why would you do stocks? It's terrible. You can invest in real estate. They don't understand the compounding interest of money and how to become wealthy. Because to become wealthy, you're going to have passive income. And if you don't have passive income, it's never going to work. It's just the truth. Is it a requirement to become wealthy? No, very few people do it. But I got to tell you guys, the most important thing you can have, when it comes to being wealthy is, let me run through a couple things and I jump on a couple lives here. This is wealthy right here. I'm going to sum it up. You make a ton of money by becoming rich, growing passive investment incomes. So a lot of people are telling you just skip the passive incomes and do real estate. I'm way too heavy in real estate. I'm trying to adjust my portfolio now. I'm completely crooked. People kind of laugh at me. They go, "Oh my God." I go, "I know, but I don't manage it anymore. I just oversee the financials." And then the last one is wisdom, because when you go from rich, if you go from wholesaling to rich and try to be wealthy, I promise you, you're going to have so much wisdom and knowledge, you can share it with anybody. And you have to understand that. So here's the real thing that people have to understand is, what are the expectations of becoming rich? First and foremost in wholesaling is, yes, you do need money. Money buys you resources, and resources gives you a thing called leverage in wholesaling. And when you have leverage, you can get other people to help you move things. That's it. In the beginning, it's just you. And that's the initial crawl we do out of it, which is basically everything we teach you in wholesaling, and you have to understand that. So I put the course there on the bottom. If you guys want to know more about it, it's freewholesaling.com, and you've got to understand how that works. So you got to start out and get started. So what are the expectations? Number one, you're going to have to make a sacrifice to become rich. You're going to have to give up all the partying on the weekend, if you live, oh, by the way, the rich do live for vacations and expensive real estate. It really makes them look good. The problem is, do you want to look rich or do you want to become rich? Because here's the one thing you have to understand about rich, and I'm going to sum this up with this. Rich is temporary unless you convert it to becoming wealthy. Because once your income stops, how are you going to pay all those bills? You have to build such a mountain and grow that mountain so big that even if you fire yourself, you do something beyond stupid, you're taking care of the rest of your life. And I'm going to tell you, there's such a security and getting that. I fought my entire life for it. I have no interest in ever retiring. Why? Why would I retire from something I make more and more money? And I have a lot of friends that like are just now retiring and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, here's another one. When people tell you the best years of their life was in high school or college, run for the hills. That means they have never grown, they've never gotten past it, and they've listen, I was such an idiot in high school and college. I'm not even proud of it. I was young, and don't get me wrong, being young is fun, but being young and broke sucks after a while. It's just the truth of the matter. So, what are the expectations? The reality is to become rich, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. But the reality is, most of you have an expectation that you guys make it so hard on yourself. And you have to understand is you should embrace the journey of becoming rich. Stop making it such a, oh my God, I got to do these cold calls. Oh my God, I got to do this. You have the opportunity. You're alive today. You can work on your health, your wealth, and becoming rich all at the same time. Guys, I'm never going to throw health out the window because I'm just telling you, I've seen too many people just disappear because, listen, if it's your time, it's your time. But if it's your time because you didn't take care of yourself, that's on you. That's like a really bad investment. And that's the part I don't understand. You have to be here for your kids. I want to see, I'm hoping I can see my great grandkids because that's how you truly get the fulfillment, which is what wealthy is being, of watching your family benefit from what you do. And then there's people that tell you, I'm not giving my family crap. And you know what? There is a strong push for that. And I get it because remember, tough times create great people. Great people create good times, and good times create, you know how that one goes. We're kind of going through it now. So, but the idea is to give them the tools and the opportunities to show them success. And the best way you can show people success is by you leading and you doing it, period. So when you're going through expectations, instead of just going talking about how hard it is, just be grateful. Have gratitude for what you do. I can't believe I get to wholesale today. Somebody with a great attitude in wholesaling is so much fun. And here's a guy, when I get JV partners and I start talking to people and they got a bad attitude, I don't care how good the deal is, do it yourself. I don't want to work with you. It's depressing. So I've worked with a lot of bad people in wholesaling because I didn't have a choice when I was in the rich phase. Now that I'm in the wealth phase, if you're a pain in the ass, I don't care how much money we make together. I don't want to work with you. You're not worth it. You got to fix your attitude. So some of you like constantly whine. And I'm telling you, you have an opportunity to win in wholesaling. And you can either win or you can whine, but you can't do both. And I'm telling you, you have to change. Be grateful for the opportunity to do it. Be grateful for the learn. Be grateful for the deal that fell apart because maybe it's God's way of telling you it was never meant for you. You have to make decisions. Remember, rich is about being plentiful and abundant. It's not just money. And the truly definition of being happy, which by the way, you should never just chase happy because happy can walk you to rough places. Happy is about being content and having pleasure in the moment and what you're doing. You can't be happy 24/7. Otherwise, I'm worried about you. But you don't chase happiness. You chase fulfillment. Am I fulfilling? Am I living up to my family? Am I giving my kids the opportunity? And the one thing, guys, I always kind of show you is the father and son duo that me and Zach do is because I led the way. And I grew up an entire lifestyle where my father told me exactly what to do, just commanded it. Never taught me, never really did it. And as much as I bitch and complain about him, he created me the father that I need to lead my children. I think we all pass it down the generation. Listen, we're all here with these perfect organs and everything else. We have to take care of them. The reality has got to be a higher power because it makes no sense why we're kind of here. So let's have fun with the ride. If you've chose wholesaling, go and become rich. But like one of the first rewards you give you and your family is some freedom, some options. But honestly, if you avoid buying the liabilities and don't get in that trap, and God knows I did, you'd be shocked how much money you can accumulate and grow. And when that nest egg grows, just keep growing it, keep growing it, keep pushing it in investments, and think long, 5, 10 years, and you're going to blink in your eyes. You're going to go, oh my God. I told my wife when I told her I do wholesaling, I go, my goal is to make my bank account look like a phone number. And she was shocked how quick I did it. Now, it's, you could throw more, another, it's crazy what you can do with it. I always forget what's a phone. It's 7 digits, right? So I like to do it a phone number plus the 1 in front of it. So 8 digits, which is very, very realistic to do in wholesaling. Not really been a problem for me. So I used to laugh about the phone number. My wife used to, because my husband's trying to turn our bank account into the phone number. People are like, the hell are you talking about? Like, that's crazy numbers. And I remember when I did it, I took a screenshot. I showed my wife. She goes, you really said you were going to do it. And now I told her, I go, we add another digit. We go like that. And I don't say this to brag to you. I'm just telling you, I started as a wholesaler and I worked my way over. I took longer than most. And my goal is to teach you the lessons so you don't make the same mistakes I did. And the biggest benefit you can get right now is in the rich side is be present, because the investment you make in time in your family and your loved ones is what will pay you back the most. Because we're only on this earth so long, you got to make every day happen. Too many people are working in the past, they're being depressed, and then they're worried about the future with anxiety, and you miss out on this beautiful thing called the present. And there's a reason they call it a present, because it is a gift from God. And if you don't take advantage of it, you're not being grateful for the opportunity. So I want you to take that. That's kind of, I believe that's all I have. What I want to do is answer some questions here. And let's bring on some lives and see who we can help out. A couple quick announcements. August 14th, we have the big release of X Leads. Everyone's like, Rick, Zach, are you guys going to change price or anything? I can't tell you because there's a lot dropping. Now it's the 3.0. It's going to have some amazing features. And what we've done is taken the last year and we've listened to every one of you. Now, we have the luxury of being the only software created by wholesalers. If you don't believe me, show me anyone else who has a wholesaling software that comes on here. We'll talk to you, answer lives, do this, be present, do deals, partner up with you. No one else will do it because they're too busy creating software to sell you guys something. Now, there's not a problem with that. But the reality is the products are created while you're doing wholesaling. That's why we've majorly incorporated AI in everything we do. And we believe we're the best value, the best tools out there. We have e-signing included in it. You get between 15 and 60,000 leads a month. We're the only ones that provide the free skip tracing with it. What else? We have the email, the digital marketing on it. It's unbelievable, like what you can do with it. Now, the most important thing is the marketing. It's always going to be marketing to me. And the biggest thing we built is a follow-up system so you can keep up with everybody. And if you don't start using AI now, you're going to be stuck because you're going to have to compete with people like me and Zach that truly understand how to automate big parts of this business so we can find the best leads. 70% of your deals come in the follow-up, but some of the stuff we're dropping, even I'm having a hard time with it because I'm like, Zach, how can we afford to do this? And so because we're wholesalers, we go out and negotiate the best deals across the entire country. And why would you expect anything less? Anybody can close a wholesaling deal, but to negotiate like a national deal to give you guys the best of the best. And we're working on things in the industry to solve problems that wholesalers face. So instead of trying to limit you guys and scare you, you can't do this and that, we're going out and finding tools so you know exactly how to go to get your wholesale done, regardless of what state you're in. Now, to do wholesaling like we do nationally is challenging because remember, I started out as a local wholesaler, I eventually switched over to virtual, and now a majority of my business is done virtually. I still do locally, but we have to understand that we are working to solve problems with you guys. So everything we do in our software, we're solving problems in our business. We get your guys' feedbacks, and then we put the best of the best together with it. So we've done some really incredible things with like customer service. We've made such a push and a dedication to make sure you guys are taken care of. And then keep in mind, I think it's November 13th, 14th. We're having our live event in Orlando. And if you have our X plan, you come out. We don't charge for you. You want to have one of those ridiculous $3,000 and $5,000 mastermind. Just come out, hang out with me and Zach. We go over the software, we go over the features. If you want to work on your personal software, we can work on campaigns, deals. But guys, if you truly want to get serious about your wholesaling business, treat it like a business. If you're just trying to get your deal, you don't need to buy X leads. I'm not like, I don't get retirements based on you guys buying basic plans. But once you get a deal or two, you got some extra money or something like that, make an investment in your wholesaling business. I don't charge you a course. So I've already saved you $5,000 right off the bat, probably 10. And then we even offer to do the JV deals with you. And you guys know I specialize in probates. I got so many going on right now. It's so exciting. It's so fun to work on them. And I love to watch when people make money. And then they're like, Rick, I can't believe I'm making this amount of money. And then I always go back to, you could do this on your own. I'm okay with a one and done with you guys. That's how much I love this business. So, okay, let me get messages and we'll hop on some lives here. Let's see. Awesome. So Ryan will tell you, even here, he's learned the hard way about the importance of speed in this business. Don't hesitate to make that call. Follow up is key. So we're always recommending to make sure you incorporate AI in your business. But, and by the way, you can do amazing chat GPT, Gemini, DeepSeek, Grok. It's becoming amazing. These tools are only going to get better and better. You need to find a software to incorporate them all. Now, we need to get AI in the wholesaling space, and that's what we do at X Leads, and we do it better than anybody. And Zach thinks like monster mind on putting all this stuff. He works with the most advanced wholesalers across the country that think way outside the box like them. And then we come up with products to make sure you guys benefit. The amount of people telling us between the ROS triple tap and the instant offer and everything else we've built into X Leads, it's truly amazing. But we like to give you options. It's amazing. So guys, check that out. And what was ours? So Peter, like at some point, I was in your exact same boat. You just got to take the action to move forward and make a sacrifice, because as much as people will try to tell you and market to you that wholesaling is a get rich quick scheme, if you notice from 2013 to 2022, I've never seen more gurus in wholesaling than ever. And now that field is like, it looks like the tide has come out, and most of those, there was entire companies. We are the greatest in wholesaling. We're evergreen. They don't even exist anymore. And that's all you need to know about it. I've been here 23 years. I ain't going anywhere. Obviously, my son's 30 years younger than I am. Like, we practice what we preach. Show me any other. I love people do a family business, but like, I practice what I preach. So if I can teach my son this entire business, make him extremely wealthy at his young age, like, show me the other gurus where their kids are actually doing all this stuff. And because I think we need more examples like it. I don't need to be the only one. I'm not a rocket scientist, but like, we need to show people the path to freedom, to truly becoming wealthy. Because I decided at 13, 14 years, I really, really groomed my kids to understand everything you want is at your fingertips. But here's the challenge, guys. 75% of all divorces are a result of money problems. And then 65% of the dissatisfaction and unhappiness in the entire world, outside of the real poverty stuff, is about lack of money. So if I'm on that scale right there, if I can fix my money problems by becoming rich, hopefully becoming wealthy doing it, I solved 70% of life struggles. And that's the point of this live stream. If 70% of life struggles is because you lack the resources that money will buy you, fix it. Take accountability. If you think the government's going to take care of you, you're on a wild, wild ride. The government right now is basically, I don't care which party's running it. It's a train wreck. We owe $36 trillion. If you ran your personal household like this, you would have everything taken away from you. So I don't like the projection. So I'm going to take care of what I need to. So I have resources to do whatever I got to do to take care of the people I love the most. And I want you guys to do the exact same thing. Here's the really cool part. Anybody, and I mean that anybody can in 2 years can dig themselves out of it. Listen, I was negative $350,000 in the hole. So when I see Peter's thing is, I'd like it to look like a zip code. Mine, I couldn't even get a digit in front of it because it was negative. That's how bad it was. So if I can dig out of that, anybody else can dig out of anything. It is up to you guys to do it. So I appreciate you guys. Let's see here. Yeah. I'm not sure which one it is. So what's my other questions? So guys, I'm just hoping I open you guys up to be understanding the difference between rich and wealthy. So as Jason said this, and I love Jason to death because I watched Jason's initial journey on it, and he'll tell you it's just a struggle when you start, and everybody goes through it, including myself. But my biggest fear was lack of deals. Like, oh my God, what if I don't get another deal? And that's the challenge of like being rich and wholesaling. And you have to understand that because it kept me up for years. But after a while, once I knew I marketed, once I knew I always followed up, and once I had a good system to track my leads, which back at the time, like Podio was the greatest revelation. But I think Podio's kind of run its course in wholesaling. It's so generalized. I know Podio has some sort of AI integrations. I just don't think I don't think the system's built for it. That's why I prefer with XLead to undergo high level. I just think it's a better way to get everything else going on it too, to do it with that. So guys, August 14th is the release of XLeads, and I think I would just give you a little hint. I would lock in on the pricing now. There's going to be some changes, but even the basic plan users are going to be very, very happy. And the people that have the X plan of the Pro, you'll be very happy. And I'll just leave it at that. So we'll tease up some of the stuff and get you going on that. And Peter, I agree with you. If you look forward to Social Security, honestly, that in my opinion, Social Security is one of the biggest scams of the United States government. Think about this. You pay in your entire life. And if God, unfortunately, you pass away, I believe there's a $2,000 settlement, and then maybe your spouse gets $200 to $300 a month. And then say if you were single or something like that, say you paid in hundreds of thousands of dollars, you get nothing. You get a settlement check and that's it. And like, I don't understand. For the first time I've heard in the administration, they're talking about taking Social Security and making it like where it's dedicated to yours. Do you know how much better you do if you took that money, invested it in yourself? Even if you didn't get a return, you would have control of the money. And I've never understand Social Security. Oh, it's protection for, listen, I'm all about helping poor people out. Don't get me wrong. But like, why should I pay all that money in the system if I have really no rights or no control of it? It makes no sense. Now, there always has to be some sort of protection for the less fortunate, but like it can't be at the dime of everybody where I understand food stamps, everything like that. But if I worked 35 years in my corporate job and then I just disappear tomorrow, I just don't think it's fair that the family doesn't get the full benefit of all that money you've paid into Social Security. So I don't get that. So, anyways, guys, I am going to cut out here in a second. I've got a couple phone calls to follow up on deals. So I'll be on tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern to Flip with Rick. We'll go a little bit more in depth and some really cool stuff in wholesaling. But I know today's topic was a little bit different, but I want you to understand if you're in the fight right now to become rich in wholesaling, perfect. Love it. I just want you to think forward. Because at some point, I remember after 7 years, I'm just looking, I go, I can't keep this pace. And I did a lot of deals, but I was doing everything myself. And I eventually learned how to hire people. And I learned how to scale my business much more to where I just had so many leads, I had to get help. And I waited way too long. And I want you guys to understand, you get to that point, you don't have to do every appointment yourself. You don't have to do it, but in the beginning you do. I did it for 7 years. 7. Some of you guys are complaining about a month or two. Like, come on, man. Like David Goggins, man. Who's going to carry the wholesaler? Like, who's going to carry the houses? You have to have a grind and a hustle season. And people tell you, oh, you only have to hustle for one season of wholesaling. They're lying to you. It's 2 years. Some of you do a little bit quicker, but like you have to grind. And then you have to resist the itch to buy everything you ever wanted in your life, because you always thought buying all these things will make you happy. They won't make you happy. It's just a temporary distraction. In fact, what I'd like you to do, if you really want to understand, is look at Stoicism, been around 2,000 years. Their philosophy still stands today. Look at Buddhism. It's all about being, if you can be happy with what you have in, if you lost everything tomorrow, you could still give the gift of being present with your family and everything like that. Now, I don't want any of that to happen to you guys, but the reality is if your happiness is depending on an outside factor, you're doomed. In fact, they've done studies. Some of the happiest people in the world have no money. But one thing is they're grateful for everything they have and they're present with their family and their loved ones. You all have the ability to do that. In fact, in the United States, we have a greater ability to do it because we have the greatest resources. But I think a lot of us take it for granted. A lot of people want to come to the United States for the opportunity. You're right here in the United States. Take advantage of it. Freewholesaling.com. Check it out, guys. And I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. Come on here and we'll go in a little bit more detail on deals and wholesaling. And we'll help you break down the marketing plan and go from there. So, guys, I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. See ya. Flip with Rick.